Hi everyone. My name's Alex Carter and I'm here with Catherine Collier, my colleague from James Cook University at TropWATER. And today we're going to be presenting on some of the wonderful work that rangers are doing on sea country across Northern Australia and some tools for habitat monitoring. And we're also really excited to be joined today by Karina Chilcott and Sharon Everett, who are joining us from the Kimberley in Western Australia and our Karajarri Rangers. We're getting there. Before we start, we would like to acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders as the first inhabitants of this nation and acknowledge in particular the Jabagai, Yirraganji, Gimo-Yidinji and Karajarri traditional owners of the lands where we are both or all presenting from today. And we also want to acknowledge the Karajarri, Mara, Mobiag, Banjan and Girramay traditional owners of the sea country where this work took place that we're going to be telling you about for the next hour or so. So before we launch into our seagrass adventure, there is a little bit of housekeeping to do for this webinar. To let you all know firstly that the session is being recorded and it will be available on the TropWATER website. At the end of our presentation, there will be a Q&A and that won't be recorded. At the moment, you're all on mute, so you can't disrupt us just yet. But at the end of the session, when the Q&A is open, if you'd like to ask a question, you can use the raise hand function and you'll be invited to unmute. Or during the webinar, if you have any questions that spring to mind, you can pop them in the chat and then we'll answer those at the end. And finally, there will be a quick survey at the end of the session, and we'd love you to stay on and just answer a few questions so we can improve the webinars in the future. So seagrass and to the monitoring challenge that we have across Northern Australia. Seagrass is a really, really important habitat across the north. It is alongside coral, mangroves and algae, really the basis for how marine ecosystems function in Northern Australia. The ecosystem services seagrass provides are many, including supporting iconic species like dugong and turtle. It has huge commercial importance because of the habitat it provides for fisheries, and it also provides things like stabilizing sediment, improving water quality, and storing blue carbon. And when you do consider species like dugong and turtle, seagrass has huge cultural importance in terms of supporting those iconic and often totemic species. Historically, seagrass in the north has been poorly mapped and monitoring has been quite patchy for a number of reasons, including things like how remote a lot of Northern Australian seagrass meadows are. It's very expensive to get to. The water is often turbid and the seagrass diversity is really high, which makes it hard to use things like satellite imagery for monitoring. And there's also safety risks with things like crocodiles and stingers and sharks in the water. However, seagrass is under threat with things like climate change and storms and cyclones. So understanding seagrass health is a real priority. And to do that, we need good data, we need a network of monitoring locations, and we need standardized methods. And this is really where rangers can step in and have been increasingly leading the way. Indigenous ranger groups are best placed to lead seagrass monitoring because they have deep local and cultural knowledge of the sea country, its seagrass habitats and the species that rely on them. Their on-country presence is already there and assets are in place, so things like boats and cameras and drones and trained staff. And also Indigenous rangers already have access and permissions often to monitor these remote areas and are best placed to negotiate that. We've been working across Northern Australia for many years now with lots and lots of different Indigenous ranger groups and on different sea countries. And there's a very messy map there showing arrows pointing to where we're currently working and starting to work this year. And there's been some real lessons that we've learned during that time and some really consistent messaging that's been coming through from the ranger groups. So one is around consistent condition indicators and the need for these when we're looking at how seagrass is going, and particularly when you start looking at it across a Northern Australian region. So questions like how big is the seagrass meadows, how dense is it, and what species are there? There's also needs to be a range of monitoring methods that match each place because they're all so different. So looking at things like the type of seagrass habitat, the risks in terms of monitoring, access, resources, what the community priorities are, and also what the management questions are. And there's also been issues with keeping knowledge and confidence in monitoring skills on country. A lot of these places only get monitored perhaps once a year. And when you've got things like staff turnover and different, experienced staff members moving into management positions, sometimes those skills can be lost with on the ground monitoring. So there's been a really, need identified for high quality training materials and that are practical and also in a range of formats. So we were really fortunate last year to get funding to put this toolkit together through NESP Marine and Coastal Hub funding. And this has been a really large collaboration involving 3 universities and 4 ranger groups. And we've been working right across Northern Australia in WA, the Northern Territory and Queensland. And what we've been working on are a number of outputs that go into a monitoring toolkit for rangers. And this involves videos, standard operating procedures, an ID guide, and a decision framework. And the idea is really to help ranger groups choose the best methods for their sea country, and also to be able to train new rangers and provide refreshers for when they're doing things perhaps only once or twice a year. So there's a lot of outputs, and Kat's going to talk a lot about these a bit later. But I just wanted to touch on the 4 training videos that are being launched over the last few days for World Ranger Day and over the coming week. And these have all been filmed on country with the rangers as part of their monitoring activities. And then we're also able to collect some really important monitoring data as part of the process. And that includes identifying a couple of places which had big seagrass declines recently. So the first group to mention is the Murrumbeena Rangers, who are in the Northern Territory, Gulf of Carpentaria. And we first mapped their seagrass meadow with them back in 2021, and it's an enormous 64-kilometre long meadow and mostly subtidal seagrass. And we've been monitoring there in 2023 and 2025. This meadow also covers a number of different management jurisdictions. There's a Northern Territory and a Commonwealth Marine Park. And so the method that we developed with them for the training videos was boat-based camera drops and grabs. And we also concentrated on field logistics because they're in such a remote location. And we also touched on percent cover estimates and species composition. The next ranger group is the Indigenous Rangers over on Queensland's east coast. And there, seagrass tends to occur on very large, muddy, intertidal banks. And you can sink very quickly down to your knees in this mud, and there's a lot of crocodiles around. So it's really not suited to walking out on the meadow. So in this one, we really concentrated on the use of drones for intertidal seagrass monitoring. And we've been monitoring with them for a couple of years now. And the drone method really focuses on orthomosaic, so how to map the area of seagrass, and then also spot checks for doing percent cover and species. Then moving up to Torres Strait, where the sea country is quite different, where we've got really accessible intertidal meadows around the islands where people live, so they can literally walk out of their office and onto the seagrass meadow. And we have really high species diversity. And so the monitoring method we focused on up here was walking transects, so where rangers can walk out on the meadow, put down a quadrat, they can touch the seagrass and look at the percent cover and what's there. And Torres Strait's also quite windy, so it's not particularly suited to drones. So walking is the best method up there for these meadows. And then finally, we have the Karajarri Rangers who are with us today and going to tell you a lot more about their sea country and their amazing seagrass meadows. And the method that we developed with them was, the video we developed with them was again boat-based, looking at underwater cameras and grabs and looking at species identification as well. And this has really been a big 2-year mapping collaboration with them. And then the rangers this year will be going out and monitoring on their own for the first time. So I'm going to hand you over now to Karina and Sharon, and they're going to tell you more about it.
Hi, I'm Karina, the Marine Ops Coordinator for Karajarri Sea Country. Today we are presenting about our seagrass on our IPA area. Here's the famous lagoon next to Port Smith, where we launch our boat to do our operations and our surveys. Okay, next slide. The picture on the right is our total IPA area. We're desert to the sea. We're 180 km south of Broome. The picture on the right, that's our sea country IPA area, with the black dot is as well, home Birenga. All right, next. This is the team this is the sea team. It's only got me and Sharon here today, but that's the rest of them. Next. These are some of the operations that we do. Got in the middle there on the top, we're getting receivers for the sawfish tagging. We do salmon survey, the seagrass. We hosted a drone training. We just started doing cockle survey. All right, next. In July, they went out, two helicopters went out on king tides at the lowest. In the intertidal areas. But, check for seagrass. There wasn't that successful finding them. So around August, they went out on 2 vessels. What's that thing called? The Real Teaser and Janaja. They did over 300 sites. That's where they found most of the seagrass, subtidal areas. Real Teaser went out in the deep, while Janaja stayed close to the shore. All right, next. The map on the left is the survey sites. And the deeper area, that's where the Real Teaser was with the sled doing the transects. And the closer to the shore is where Janaja went. And on the picture on your right is the results that they got looking at all different species of seagrass. You can see in our bay near Bijidenga, there's a lot of different species looking very healthy for the future. All right, next. Here's some drop cam pics Got some algae, 2 different species of seagrass there. There's a hard coral. There's a sled pick from real teaser. All right, next. This is our identification guide. So when we get our seagrass, this is what we use to help identify exactly which species it is, because they're very hard to identify. All right, next. Hold on. Something. Doing the survey gives us hope for the future, seeing the seagrass healthy and thriving to feed the turtle and the dugong. All right, next. And we want to thank our partners, and I hope you guys like our training video that they're going to put on next.
My name is Faye Dean. I'm a Karajarri elder. The Rangers are on the boat going to check out the seagrass from Gordon Bay all the way down to Red Point.
There's the second one. Dropping. Ooh. Got some seagrass here. Yeah, nice.
This kind of one, stay in the reef. Turtles, they eat this.
I can't believe there's so many species of seagrass.
My name is Angelina Nenudi, and I'm a Karajarri elder, and this place is called Jabalo Beach. We are talking about the seagrass and the dugongs and the turtle.
If we didn't have any seagrass, there would be no turtles
dugong.
or dugongs. I don't think people realize how important seagrass is.
But we want to know about the seagrass and how much there is for.
It's important to know that.
How much left?
It's a learning curve for the rangers, and it's something new.
Well, this week we're gonna go out and do some seagrass monitoring. We're gonna go through the checklist to make sure everything's here. So this is the camera frame, cameras and your iPads. We got spare batteries as well. We've got our guide to show us what we're looking for. Also got a paper to mark results down as well. So make sure the equipment's all good to go. Everything is all in working condition. This is where we attach the rope to take up the weight. We've got the weights in our legs, one at the front and one at the back. This is the pole where the camera goes. So this cable here is the Wi-Fi cable. We'll connect this one to the camera clip. You want the camera facing down. This Wi-Fi here has to be attached to the camera. You connect this to the back of the tablet, and it should get a connection to the Wi-Fi through this one. Show us down the bottom. See the seagrass there. We're gonna try and get some samples as well. This one here is a grab. Some people call it the toe biter. All you gotta do to open it is just push down from the top, and then you've got a clip here at the bottom. And as you're pulling up, this here won't be able to come out until it hits the bottom. That's pretty simple. It's clamped shut. Can get your sample from the bottom. Everything working, no loose bits, no missing parts. Yeah, we'll pack this one up and get it on the boat. Before we go out and do the actual work, we need to make a plan so that we know what we're doing when we go out to do it. We need to also judge the tide. just tightening up the camera so it doesn't wobble around when you hit the water or get loose. Yeah, we've got to make sure the cable tie is not in front of the lens. Rope is tied up on the frame to take the weight, but the cord is separately tied. It's looped around this clip, and we have a bungee here as well with a slack here, so it doesn't rip this out. We never put weight on the camera cable. This cord is very easy to break.
This tablet is connected to the camera outside.
Mom Krina,
Yes.
I'm going to switch the camera on. Just let me know how it is.
All right, I have a view here. I can see 4 legs. We'll do a wet test now.
Yep, wet test.
I can't see any legs, so you have to bring it up. Try readjust it higher.
Yeah, it's about making the camera set up at the right height for that good field of view.
So then every time they do the surveying, it's the same size each time. I can see the legs in the screen, and now it's the right adjustment. We should be ready to go.
On this here, we have a lot of sites on this field map. We use this as a guide, pull up at every site and survey them. We've started from the north and heading to the south. The depth is 8.3 meters, and this is site 36. Just get the camera going. I jump on this, press record. That'll give me those 36 on the camera.
So my role is to drop and lift.
Yeah, drop it.
Dropping. His role is to make sure that cord don't have too much tension.
And once it's down, hits the bottom, look what's down there, okay, then I say lift, like a meter or so off the ground. When it moves along, slowly drifts, and then drop it back down again, and then so on. Do that 10 times. And up for 3. Down for 3. Up for 4. Down for 4.
Filling out the data sheet, location, now writing the coordinates, latitude and longitude. Yes, we did a video, it's 8.3 meters.
And down for 10. Yeah, 10 shots in every side. No, all good. Lift him up.
What do you see, Humphrey? Any
Sand.
seagrass?
Just mainly sand.
We didn't see any seagrass, no algae, and no BMI, that's coral and sponges.
Just heading to the next site. Do it all over again.
In one day, yesterday, we did 30 sites. If you can do more in a day, it's pretty good. The data, it'll become a map at some point. Sea Rangers, we're looking at dugong work, so that map would show where there may be some more life in the water.
Oh, seagrass. Yeah, heaps of them. Okay, lovely. Yeah, pull it in. Toe cutter, sampler.
It is pretty heavy. Just be really careful when you're doing this. Okay. Oh, some there.
Good grab.
We got a guard to help us identify these seagrass in the water because there's different species. So this is the Cymodosia circulata. It got a small teeth. It's got to be like round and jagged edges. CS Cymodosia circulata. Well, I didn't even know that they had scientific names, to be honest. I just always thought there was just seagrass. Learning new stuff for me is just, yeah, that's what I want at the moment. Allegedly uninervous. Dugong's favorite food. Oh yeah, it's rough. Alophila decipiens. It's rough and it's round. And Alophila ovalis is round and smooth.
Oh, bit of grass here. All good. Thank you, up. Once we're done recording, we're always double checking if it did record and make sure you can at least see the first few drops. Yeah, just to make sure that you're doing everything good so you don't have to go back home to an empty SD card and you're not wasting time. Good day, guys.
All good, good.
Every night we jump off the boat, you're gonna have to take it all in. Make sure you save all your videos or photos that you're taking, that you're doing each day, and it's all backed up.
I've just taken photo of the darters, so they got also pictures of it.
Biggest one is make sure just to have all your equipment ready again, recharged, or everything's clear from a SD card. Ready to start again the next time.
The Rangers are doing a really good job. The seagrass, we noticed, with pollution, with cyclones, we know climate change is really advanced.
You're too high, the tide is, you're washing away our shores, the sand.
The Rangers monitoring it, that's what we need them for. I'd like to see them do some scientific work by themselves so they can have ideas how to handle the situation.
Yeah, I think it's important to do the research and find the results so we can go back to the people and tell them that it's still healthy out here.
We want to keep doing it just to see where we are at by ourselves.
There it is.
And that's the last one for the week.
Yeah, we just come back to clean our stuff. I'm gonna fill this box with water. We're gonna clean the camera and grab, soak the cords and soak the ropes. Keeping it a good rinse, getting all the salt out. Just let it drip dry. Yeah, make it more good. Pack it up.
The Rangers, I'm quite amazed at what they're doing now, their achievements, especially towards the seagrass.
The Karajarri Rangers were in a great position to record that training video. They picked up the methods really quickly, and they're now at the stage that they're ready to continue monitoring independently. And as you could see from that video, Karajarri sea country is stunning, and there were great conditions for filming. So that went really well. So the videos are one part of the toolkit, but it really is a package of tools. So the toolkit will also include a seagrass ID guide, standard operating procedures for each of the methods, and a decision tree for when a new monitoring program is being established. There's also been some training both in the field and in data analysis as part of this project, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's planned for the future. So the seagrass ID guide will be tailored to Northern Australia, focusing on the tropical species and the habitats that the tropical species grow in. It'll provide a key and tips and tricks for correct identification, some information about seagrass morphology and things like the depths that they grow in and where they're distributed. Standard operating procedures will be released with the videos for each of the methods. The videos don't include detail about everything. Otherwise, they would have been very long and quite dry to watch. The videos, as they were, quite beautiful and they tell a story. So we have these SOPs to provide much more specific information. The SOPs are also easier to update as methods evolve, which can happen, with technology advancing and so on, as things become redundant. So they'll be really important accompaniments to the videos. We're also developing a decision support tree that will be a framework for establishing a new monitoring program. It'll include guidance on setting objectives for monitoring, which can differ from place to place, selecting where to focus monitoring effort, understanding local constraints such as access and tides, and selecting which methods are the most appropriate. And all of those contribute together to designing a monitoring program. The videos are currently available on the NESP Marine and Coastal website. This QR code will take you to the project page, and the videos are under the tab labelled training materials. So you can access 3 of those at the moment. And the videos are also on YouTube. And we intend to place the toolkit on the Monitoring Country platform, which is being funded by the NESP Resilient Landscapes Hub. This means it'll be in a location where a lot of the other monitoring tools can also be found for rangers. So the toolkit funded under NESP 5.2 has focused on field collection, but we have plans to take it further. Some groups may like to progress to more autonomous monitoring, so we're developing tools to assist. For example, this user-friendly app guides people through importing videos, taking or extracting still photos, and assessing what is present in the habitat and how much. We're also, the data out of this app can then be imported into a data quality control app to ensure rigorous outputs for mapping and reporting. And training in how to use these tools would ideally happen as well. So we held training workshops at JCU Cairns Keps earlier in the year with rangers from several groups around Australia. And the training was in image analysis, benthic habitat ID, which was not just seagrass, but a range of different types of habitats, and drone monitoring. It was an introductory workshop, and there is a lot of scope to build on it, and we'd like to do that in the future as well. We're also looking at things like certifications such as Cert 3s and micro-credentials. So overall, just to wrap up, the outcomes of this toolkit are that it provides a consistent and robust framework for ranger-led monitoring. It gives practical methods, strong training, and reliable monitoring data. It also raises public awareness about seagrass ecosystems and how Indigenous Rangers care for sea country. And taken all together, these things improve decision-making and conservation outcomes. So just a few key takeaways, and this is the last slide. Closing information gaps across Northern Australia strengthens national environmental reporting and nature repair markets. And the toolkit equips rangers to undertake consistent monitoring on seagrass, supported by technical expertise as needed. Sustained monitoring is the critical next step to deliver these enduring national benefits. Just to finish on some acknowledgements, this work has involved a large number of people and organisations. Charles Darwin University, Edith Cowan University, and James Cook Uni provided technical input. Giringan and Namulcha Aboriginal Corporations, Torres Strait Regional Authority, and Karajarri Traditional Lands Trust Association contributed time and resources, as well as vital locally relevant input into the training material. And the project was funded by NESP Marine and Tropical Hub with support from the Great Barrier Reef Foundation and the Northern Territory Government.